Hi!
Hi,
Hi,
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm Nissy Serrano.
Kristen Bata.
Genesis as Mama.
I'm Hannah Deacon, and we are student ambassadors of the UA&P Junior Marketing Communications team.
As students, we know how these times can be challenging.
So let us go through this process with you.
If you have questions about our university,
online learning,
or anything school life related,
feel free to message any of us through our social media handles
Right here.
right here.
Right here. With everything online, you can always go #UnitasLive with us.
Everyone. I hope you are all doing well today. My name is Giselle Vargas, a student from the 6-year program taking up Master of Arts in Political Economy. And at the same time, I am a student ambassador from the UA&P Junior Marketing Communications team. Today, I will be your host for this episode of Unitas online webinar highlighting our courses in the School of Economics, and I can't wait to introduce you all to our speakers. But before that, let me give you a quick background of today's event. Unitas Online is a series of webinars where our future dragons, parents, guardians, and school officials may learn more about our beloved university. To carry on this discussion, to those who have sent their questions in advance, we have taken note of them and we have informed the respective speakers to address these questions. But in case you have more, please indicate it in the chat box that you can access right below, and we will tackle it during the open forum. Before we proceed, though, we'd like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Villegas, one of the UA&P founders. Okay, so now to get the ball rolling, it is my pleasure to introduce you all to Dr. Peter Yu, who is the Program Director of School of Economics. He will be talking about the courses offered here. Good morning, Dr. Yu.
Good morning. Let me just share my screen. Okay, is this visible? Does everyone see this? No? Okay. All right. So I'll just put on slideshow. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Yu. I'm the program director. I'm the vice dean of the School of Economics, but also the program director for the BS Business Economics program. So I thought I'd first talk about economics and what economists do. Economics actually is always in the news in a way, but ironically, people, I'm not that sure. I think people are not familiar necessarily with what economists do. So let me start off by some examples, of questions that arise, I think, from the mundane, like, how does Netflix make money, right? Or, well, something that is more serious is how is the coronavirus affecting the economy? And other things like something that we used to contend with more, but I think some people already beginning to encounter this again as they start going back to work, some of us. and how do we fix it? Well, have to build more infrastructure in the country. Then Facebook we don't pay to use, but how do they earn? Then something also that thankfully isn't a problem now, but at the start of the year when we needed masks, out of a sudden, out of the blue, there were some shortages initially. And now as we start to try to get the country and the economy back on the road to recovery, there is the question of how do we open the economy back. So all of these are very interesting questions, some perhaps not that, as I said, a bit on the mundane side, others very serious because they involve the country. And how are all these stories or issues related? It might sound or look complicated, but it's not very complicated. And the bottom line is the most important relationship among them all is that they affect our lives, all of them. We can feel, so to speak, all of these. But what drives them? What would enable someone, a professional, a businessman, a citizen? What would enable all of us to understand these issues and therefore learn how to grapple with them and how to solve those that are problems, or those that need to be solved? And I would say that the answer is economics is a very powerful tool and field of human study, social science, that enables us to understand what are the factors that drive these phenomena, these issues, and that gives us a background about what do economists do. So in order to grapple with all these issues, economists, and it's in the nature of our training also in our field, we work with a lot of data. Nowadays, data analytics is very much business analytics. You hear this a lot, jobs and careers in this area. Economists are among those, I think, who are in the forefront of this area and we have been for a long time, for decades, because economists work with a lot of data and they analyze from those data. They try to bring out the trends or see what are the trends underneath them. In other words, we connect the dots. And after that, we make assessments about what's going on. Because, as we said, well, to solve these issues or to solve these problems, well, we'll have to start to draw out what's going to be the effect. How is it going to affect us? How is it going to affect the economy? Is it going to bring more unemployment, or more businesses going to have a harder time? And why? So, it's because of the loss of the demand. For example, nowadays when people cannot go out and spend as much, for example. Now, all of that you have to mix together. And it starts with looking at the data, so to know the reality on the ground, what's happening, but we have to come up with decisions. And then economists, especially those working, for example, for the government, then we make policies, recommend policies. But even private economists working in private companies, they need also to guide their managers, their business owners, their board of directors, and so they also make and recommend policies. But all of it is, you might say, all of this economists do, although perhaps not everyone may carry the job title economists or economists, but what they do actually is economics, is using the science of economics to grapple with all of those issues. And so, as you might imagine from that description, that means that economics majors and economists And in our case here at UA&P, our degree is the BS, Bachelor of Science in Business Economics. No? So the graduates can enter a wide range of careers. Obviously, in finance, for example, or banking, no, that field has a natural affinity for economists. So we have a lot of graduates working in that area. Then you have corporate planning departments, no, because as we saw earlier, companies also need to plan ahead and react, and not just react, but even be proactive, no? So analyze the data. What's the trend, no? So you also have their market analysis. Both these jobs or both these types of functions in corporations, no, are oftentimes done by people with economics background, economics majors, no. And economists can also work for the government in foreign affairs. What one person comes to mind immediately is an IEP alumnus who is one of our, if not, I think the top trade negotiator for the country based in Geneva for the DTI, Department of Trade and Industry. And then, of course, we have also had our fair share of graduates who've gone on into law. You can also take up law studies afterwards. Law and economics is a very good combination. And we also have many graduates who've gone to work for the government. No? A former senior undersecretary of the DTI, Tom Aquino, is an early graduate of our economics program. The current undersecretary of the DTI, Perry Rodolfo, and also governor of the Board of Investment, is also an alumnus. And then you have graduates also naturally who can go into journalism, especially business news and analysis, economic news, and in media as well. One of our graduates today will be is working for Google, and you know, today media, very important aspect of media is social media and internet. So, and then lastly, of course, you can, as you might imagine, economics as a field is perfect also for going into your own, setting up your own business, because economics is about studying markets and how they work, and that's exactly what businesses operate in markets. No? So, okay, and many more other careers. So let me now describe a little bit about our program, but mainly I think I will try to give you a historical context. No, I'm happy to hear that Bernie is around today, because the program, no, has been around for 50 years actually, no? And you might know, or you might be aware, that UA&P was technically founded back in 1967 with the foundation of the Center for Research and Communication, and Bernie Villegas and Dr. Jesse Stanislao are co-founders of that institution. No, and after they founded the institution in 1969, no, very quickly, they set up the first Master of Science in Industrial Economics program, the IEP, Industrial Economics program. That's why, actually, while the degree is a BS in Business Economics, no, because of that 50 years, no, of legacy, everyone, I think, in the university, certainly, especially in the School of Economics, we still say and call the program the IEP, no, for very deep historical and sentimental reasons. No? So, as I said, Dr. Justice is now here. Back then, in the probably early 70s, and Bernie, okay, our co-founders, they were the ones who originally set up the program, and that's why we continue to, as I said, refer to it often as the Industrial Economics program. But when they first, just a bit of background behind the program, is when they first set it up, CRC was an economic research and consultancy think tank. No? So very quickly, they realized that they needed helping hands, young professionals who were trained in economics, and that's how they set up the Industrial Economics program. You would have seen that if you looked at the curriculum back then, and as it is also today, retains much of the flavor. There is a heavy dosage of business courses, accounting, marketing, production, on top of the usual traditional economics curriculum, because they their work was dedicated to helping private businesses chart the chart the course of their companies through the local and international economy. So they needed economists who were also well versed with the fields of management, business, accounting, marketing. So, and that's the reason why we today call it a business economics program. So the degree is a Bachelor of Science in Business Economics, and it owes its structure today and curriculum today a lot back to those foundation years, when it was originally called the Master of Science in Industrial Economics. And even up to today, there is that option after finishing the Bachelor of Science in Business Economics to proceed on to earn that same Master of Science in Industrial Economics. So there, for the masteral degree, we have continued to retain that degree title of Master of Science in Industrial Economics. So anyway, I hope that that will be an introduction for you to economics here at UA&P, and how it is. It's a special niche, you might say, is that we are strong in the business side of economics. But as I have mentioned, we also can cite several alumni who have gone on to serve the country in public positions. So that I think is born part of the way that our founders started the university through CRC, and the way that they had structured the original economics program. So I think that that's probably enough of an introduction from me. As they say, the proof of the pudding or cake is in the eating, and I think in the next section we do have, and we're very grateful to some of our alumni who have made the time to come back this morning to talk about their own experiences, about their education here in UA&P as a whole, and in the economics, School of Economics. And then after that, we can have an open forum where we can have some discussions or answer some of your questions about studying in UA&P in general, and getting into our economics program. So good morning, everyone, and thank you to all the parents and prospective students who have come. We hope to see you, perhaps, well, hopefully face to face now. No? I think that's the way. That's the way to go. But certainly, if not, then maybe online. All right. Good morning again. Thank you very much. I'll have to stop sharing. Okay, here it is. Stop share. All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yu. That was a great introduction to our economics courses. Indeed, for 5 decades now, the university and its predecessor, the Center for Research and Communication, has been producing top-notch economists who offer their expertise and skills in different fields. And to give us more insight on how exactly these trainings have been helping them through our courses and for them to excel in their different fields, who better to ask than our former students themselves? We've invited some of our alumni to share their experiences and nuggets of wisdom today. Our first alumnus is a graduate from the Master of Science in Industrial Economics program and is now the head of the Business Development and Market Planning and Contracts for the Energy Development Corporation. Let us all welcome Mr. Marvin Bailon. Good morning, Mr. Marvin.
Morning. Hi, Rizal. Am I coming in?
Yes,
clear?
we can hear you clear.
All right. Thank you. Good morning. Okay. So just a quick introduction. I graduated in batch 2000 I'm happy to say that Dr. Yu was my thesis advisor, where he helped me simulate an electricity spot market when there was none yet back then. So really, what I did there, just launched a career in something that I really love doing. I'm in the energy business right now. I work for Energy Development Corporation. EDC is the biggest renewable energy company in the Philippines. We have power plants that is powered purely by renewable energy, geothermal, solar, hydro, and wind. The biggest for assets are geothermal. This is, if you're curious what a geothermal power plant looks like, it's exactly that. And what I do in this company, I build more of those. I build new plants together with my team, and of course sell the electricity we produce in the spot market or through contracts. Okay, so I'll talk about IEP in general, but I'll focus on one main point about IEP, and that's the perception of it being difficult. Okay, so, but rather than using the word difficult, I'd rather use the word challenging. Challenging, it is challenging because it's like learning a new language. But again, it's not impossible. You can easily learn a new language over time and with determination. And the important aspect of challenging is that you get used to getting better, and that's the concept of continuous improvement. You learn incrementally, you get better incrementally, day in, day out, and you don't stop. Okay, so not all of us have astronomical IQs like Dr. Yu, Dr. Manzano, even Dr. Villegas, but and we have varying levels of talent. But what's important in being challenged and what IEP teaches you outside the study of scarce resources is that factor of grit. Okay, so Angela Duckworth talks about grit, and really she talks about people being successful in life. It's not all about talent, it's not all about IQ, but it's showing up, sticking with your plan for the future day in, day out, and really just showing passion and perseverance. Okay, and that's important in not only in your jobs, in your careers. It's important in doing well in life in general. And most well, more significantly during these times, these challenging times, where things are vulnerable, are volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. It's really this trademark that helps you in your life, in your career. So I'll talk a bit as well about why IEP might appeal to you. Doctor, you talked about IEP being a flexible course. He mentioned a lot of career opportunities. Definitely, a lot of my batchmates are in the banking industry. Some are entrepreneurs, and really, it's very flexible. I'm in the energy business, but even in my career in the energy industry, I've held certain posts from planning to budgeting to corporate planning, as Doctor you said, and to right now business development and on the selling part of energy. So it's really, you apply these concepts and it's very universal. You can apply it to anything, even to your life decisions. Okay. But because really economics is a study of scarce resources, it helps you prioritize. It helps you determine what's important in your life. And really with focus and prioritization, it really gets you ahead. Lastly, what I'd like to emphasize is that with the IEP program, you really tap into the best professors who are giants in the academe and in the economics field. Dr. Yu, Doc George, Dr. Villegas, just Google them, Google their names. You can see a plethora of resources, of interviews, of expertise. And it's really being part of that institution, being part of the learning process, which really is an advantage if you join the IEP. So that's it. That's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Thank you very much, Mr. Bailon. Truly, in any field, in any career that we choose to take, the values of grit and perseverance are indispensable. It helps us meet challenges, just like the situation with the whole pandemic that we're dealing with right now. Unfortunately, no one foresaw coming. But anyway, thank you for that, Mr. Bailon. We will now be moving on to our next speaker, who is Mr. John Adolfo, another alumnus from the Master of Science in Industrial Economics, who utilizes his expertise in economics as the partnership lead for Google Philippines. Good morning, Mr. Adolfo.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm not so used to being called in the very formal. And I guess that's where IEP can be a bit of an advantage. Yes. Okay, so I can continue there. So another thing I guess that I would share is that in IEP we are exposed to real work. During my time, even before we went into the masteral phase of our course, even as freshly admitted into the IEP program, we are exposed to real life cases. We even meet real businesses wherein we practice the things that we learn. And this is also a testament to the efficiency, network, and competency of the faculty that we have in IEP. So I guess in my years of staying in IEP, I have been exposed to a lot of industries, which also enabled me to pick the industry where I would like to focus on. And also, I'm a recipient of the scholarship in IEP. And in more than one instances, my learnings in IEP enabled me to it helped me in my work as a working student. So I was partly assisting as a research assistant in different research engagements that we have, and that enabled me to really test out if these theories would really work in the real world and how real businesses would accept them. So that would give you a sense of comfort that what you're really learning is not just something they see in the books, but something that the outside world really value. Yeah. So I guess I end there. I leave a little bit more for Ed to talk about his experience.
Thank you so much for that, Mr. Adolfo. It's quite nice knowing that all of these things that we're learning, especially all of these theories, can actually be applied to everyday life and in almost every field that we choose to take, right? Especially since I think people would think that you chose an area, a field that not everyone would think would choose at the get-go when you get the industrial economics program. Thank you so much, Mr. Adolfo. So well, now I'll be introducing you to our final speaker, the Assistant Vice President and Head of the Premium Business Group for Call Financial Group, Inc., Mr. Edmund Daniel Martinez. Good morning, Mr. Martinez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Riesel, for that nice introduction. So thank you, everyone, for allowing us into your homes or wherever you are watching right now. So just a bit of background about myself. I graduated in IEP in 2005. So I did a bit of teaching also there in UA&P. Then I joined an investment bank in the credits department. And then I moved into some foreign banks. And now I work as one of the AVPs for Call Financial. So all my career in the past 15 years, I've spent it in the financial industry. And for IEP students, ito yung pinaka-relevant because I think in the understanding of markets, a good sense of economics is very, very important. So I'd like to start this talk by giving just the operating principle of what we're doing here. That the fact that life absolutely has no shortcuts. At least no repeatable shortcuts. Kung may sinuwerte man ng konti, hindi yan nauulit. Okay, just like in the financial markets. And nothing worth doing is ever easy. Everything that's worth doing requires a lot of work. And the IEP, at least for me, coming from a province when I was in high school, gets you well acquainted with rigor. And it is this familiarity with rigor that gave me that advantage in my career. So just like you, coming from, I think some of you might be coming from the provinces, I wanted to grow as fast as I can. And so I did. And this familiarity with rigor allowed me to occupy an executive position before I turned 30, which had its advantages and disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that you age early because you get to make those decisions, and instead of going out with your friends, you're actually working. So also I'd like to note that in this period of rapid change, as the environment around us actually change quicker than we do, this familiarity with rigor allows you to adapt faster. And in my case, it also allowed me to finish my first 70.3 Ironman just last year. So again, as Jardy has mentioned, you have to be comfortable with numbers. And of course, you might say that lahat naman kayang mag-compute or tumingin ng data. But as an IEP student, similar to Jardy's experience, familiar ka na eh. It's second nature to you. And in the financial sector, that's very, very much important, right? Like for instance, essentially in the stock market where I work right now, stock and asset prices are determined by the essence of demand and supply. Simple as that. In Mr. Bailon's work, the demand for energy, diba? That's something that you should also be quite familiar with. And what moves markets is also quite very instant for IEP students. Like for instance, government policy. Digong starts sending money or nag-start nung Pantawid Pamilya program or the 4Ps program. Anong impact niyan in the asset markets? Talk about the BSP, raising the rates, increasing the reserve requirements. They impose new regulations on markets. You will have to understand that. And in my case, in my work in Call Financial, I have to communicate that to our 500,000 customers. And lastly, as I mentioned, you have to communicate these ideas, these very fairly complex ideas to everybody. Everybody should be able to understand it and have a fighting chance in this market. And finally, I think it goes without saying that if you occupy positions wherein you make a decision for a company, you will encounter this situation wherein the line between morality and what is legal are not the same line. They're far in between. And you always find yourself making that decision. With, in your other hand, is of course profitability in business, and the other hand is about taking care of people. And I think the IEP gives you that instant sense that, hey, I have to, it's not purely about business, but I really have to take care of people. I really have to take care of my clients, take care of the people who support our plan. And with that, I think it has given me some advantages in dealing. It's not really, to me, if you ask me about the knowledge I've earned in IEP, well, I might be able to use some, but not, quite honestly, I think Dr. George will be mad at me, but not most of it. But I think the most important part is that you are familiar with rigor. Sanay ka sa hirap. Sanay kang maghirap, at kumbaga, as they say, you develop a thick skin that is, I think, more essential for your survival in your work. And with the comfort in numbers, diba? Yeah, it's not, ang mga Filipinos are not usually math fans, diba? Hindi tayo siya mahilig dyan. But if you are an IEP graduate, then it will be second nature to you. And in almost all business decisions, they do it with numbers. It's not because the CEO feels like, oh, it's time to do this, time to do that. But it's in boardrooms, it's often fought in the era of numbers. Are we doing this way or that way? It's going to be determined by numbers. And lastly, as you make those decisions, it's important to understand that the decisions you make are not only for this world. Okay, that there will be instances in your life that you will be challenged even to decide. And I've had that. I stopped looking at it as a curse, but really that responsibility to make that decision was given to me in the course of my career. And I'm glad that the IEP has instilled in me that value to always look at people first, always look at the impact to the other stakeholders and not just about that. So in a sense, it gives you a healthy dose of conscience also, which I think is needed in our world today, in the business world today. That's very much important. Thank you. So if you have any questions, thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Mr. Martinez. You've shown us just how multidisciplinary our industrial economics program really is, especially with your comfort with numbers, discussions, and even philosophical virtues. Truly, our liberal arts education helps us see a more holistic view on issues and various concerns, especially in these times, or as you have said, in terms of business decisions. With that said, thank you so much to all of our speakers. But the fun's not over yet because we will now be moving on to the open forum. And I'm sure you've all been waiting for the question and answer portion of today's event. For this segment, may I kindly request our speakers to unmute themselves so that you can answer any questions our audience may have for you. I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. George Manzano, Dean of the School of Economics. Again, for our audience, if you have follow-up questions, feel free to send it in the chat box right below, and we will do our best to answer it. So let's begin with the first question. This is a question regarding our program, and the question is, why did we decide to pursue the business side of economics?
Oh, okay. Well, a bit of it, actually, it's not just a bit, but it goes back to the history of the institution of CRC. When Jess and Bernie first set up CRC, what they saw was that there was a need for economists who could help businesses understand the different economic forces, driving the economy. What they saw was that there already is the NEDA, although it was called a different name back then, but there is a NEDA that does that work for public institutions, for the various branches of government. But there wasn't a institution that focused on the problems of private corporations. So that's why CRC, when it started out, and we continue to do it, they focus on giving briefings, economic briefings to companies to help them understand, through our analysis of the economy, macroeconomic forecasts, and analysis of the effect of different government policies, as well as developments abroad and here on the economy. And therefore, corporations need to have that understanding in order for them to plan their operations. What to do next year? Should we expand our plant here, or because the market is now opening abroad, should we also start looking at which markets to start to consider? So the original industrial economics, Master of Science in the Industrial Economics program, that's why we still we still refer to IEP a lot, because it goes all the way back to 1969, was born out of that. Bread and butter, so to speak, of CRC is actually working with private corporations. So in the original IEP master's curriculum had, precisely for that reason, a lot of business subjects in it. as I said, accounting, marketing, even production management, all of that, because Jess and Bernie needed to have young economists work with them who could understand, how to read a balance sheet, how to read an income statement, and from there, help companies, advise companies, consult with companies on what to do. So I think I would attribute it to that history, the beginnings of the IEP.
Great. Thank you for that very comprehensive answer, Dr. Yu. Do we have other answers from other speakers? No, I think.
Yes. Maybe I can mention the reason why this is also we call the program industrial economics to emphasize the point that economics and business made. Actually, there is a branch of economics which is called business economics. This is a confluence of economics and business. No business really works in a vacuum. All businesses are part of an industry, and all industries are part of the national economy, and all the national economies of the world is part of the international economy. So what happens abroad finds its way to the local scene. What happens at the national policy making platform influences the sales, influences the costs, influences manpower needs of various firms. So therefore, someone who can read this, someone who can draw implications, will have very important contributions at the firm level, at the management level, at the decision level. I think some of our alumni can give their insights into how knowledge of economics would help them in making decisions in their various their particular fields. Thank you.
Yeah, if I can take that. As mentioned by Dr. George and Dr. Yu, really economics is about prioritizing, maximizing scarce resources, right? In my field right now, we always face those critical decisions. Say, where do I sell the electricity I generate? Do I sell in the spot market, which is volatile, but can induce some value when prices peak? Do I sell at a lower price for long-term contracts? Or is there an underlying strategy around it? Again, it's about what's your objective. Do you maximize price, revenue? Do you minimize risk? And again, is there something more than that, which Ed mentioned, right? Is there something beyond just profits, revenues, and risk? So we're faced with that decision every day, and that mindset of economics really helps you a lot in those decisions. I wouldn't say that I do linear programmings right now to make those decisions, but again, if you have that mindset in your head, that you always apply what's best for your objective. That's really how IEP, the rigor and the concepts and the principles and practices and help you.
Thank you, Mr. Bailon. Do we have other speakers who would like to answer?
If I may add, sa sinabi ni Marvin. So I guess in decision making, sorry, before that, am I coming in clear? Just to be sure, I don't encounter the same.
Mr. Adolfo. Clear.
Okay, so just to add, it doesn't only come in the big corporate boardroom level of decisions. Though in our training, I guess we are well equipped to be in that to be in that particular level of conversation. But even at the grassroots, for example, even the small decisions, meaning do we talk to this particular sari-sari store owner in this way, and what will be the impact do sa maliit niyang negosyo that delivers maybe 1,000 pesos of income per day, and but still have that confidence that you can translate that decision when you go all the way up to the board and tell them that because of that decision, this will give us 100 million pesos worth of revenue, etc. And I guess not only in the comfort of decision making and understanding the impact of it, it's really having that cohesiveness when it comes to your decision making, because you understand the different levels of and the different aspects of that decision, both on the micro and the macro aspect of it.
Thank you, Mr. Adolfo. Do you have any more speakers? No? Thank you. Okay. Thank you so much. We'll be now moving on to our next question. And I think this one goes on for our alumni. The question goes, what are the things undecided students should consider in choosing their courses and future careers? I think a lot of our students can very much relate to this question.
Difficult question, but I'd like to volunteer my first answer. So I think there's a tendency for people, especially if you live the good life with your parents, if your parents are wealthy, it's easy to really aim for that sarap ng buhay. Diba? You want things easy, you wanna take the course na, ano ba dyan yung walang math, diba? Punta mo yung walang regression or whatever difficult thing there is. But that's the point. You have to be well acquainted with a certain level of rigor. And you have to be familiar with obstacles. You should not be afraid of obstacles, because the obstacle is really the way. That is how we push this country forward. That's how we push humanity forward. It's not relaxing in a beach house. It's about finding that thing that you need to push. And a difficult course like IEP, especially for me, when our provincial math is not that good. So I really had to learn up and study up and be familiar with this type of rigor, that in anything that I face in my career, in my life, even in my own family, in your relationships, hindi ka na frazzled, you're not calling your mother to cry, although I did, because I'm only human, but you are well familiar with this type of rigor that you can see it through, no matter how difficult it is. And I think that's one of the things you should consider when you're deciding on a course. Don't go for the easy way, because it will all find, if you're living a life worth living, you'll find that rigor somewhere else. And better na agarin mo na yung rigor today while you're still young, you don't have a family, you don't have other things to worry about. You still have energy, you can still wake up 5 in the morning to train your marathon. So it's important that you get well acquainted with that rigor. And Dr. Yu was also my thesis advisor. Gave me a hard time. So Dr. George Manzano was my international economics professor. And I really remember this, but he told me to shut up one time because I was too noisy. But I love him for it, because that course, kumbaga, did a course correction for me to really be, diba? And of course, my first economics teacher is also here with us, Mr. Choi Romea, who started this thing with economics with me then, which I would like to thank him also for introducing me to this rigor, this discipline of dealing with the career and living your life. And I think that's the main thing. Pahirapan mo na yung sarili mo ngayon kaysa mamaya.
Thank you, Mr. Ed.
Maybe I'll add a bit more to that, but I'll just comment that how Ed and Hardy tell things. We say things differently, but it's it sounds like the same thing over and over again. I can hear myself saying those things as well. But yeah, for those high school students coming into college looking for that course, really start with what's your objective in life, what's your purpose, right? And that's an important starting point. Definitely IEP will give you a lot of uh, benefits in the thoroughness, in the rigor. But I would also say that fun. Of course, we all want fun, right? We want to enjoy what we're doing. You can actually enjoy what you're doing, even when there's rigor. And again, it starts with a purpose. What do you want to do in life? You want to make you want to make a difference, right? You want to change things. I'm in the renewable energy business. I totally subscribe to the product. Uh, uh, our objective is to play a part in decarbonization, to protect our environment. I know I didn't know then that I would be in this industry, but I had an inkling to uh, help do something good. I didn't know exactly what was that when I was in high school or even when I was in IEP. But yeah, it's really that starting point. And again, study of economics, very flexible. Whatever you do, and you apply the rigor, you can succeed if you just day in day out strive to be better. Don't lose focus on that purpose that you're chasing. So yeah.
If I may add as well, but I guess personally for me, when choosing, when I was at that point na namimili ng course, it was really more of how I can make myself more future proof, because I don't know what will be the industry that will thrive 5-6 years from the time I entered the university. And economics was that course for me, because I don't know if I would be in a corporate job, I'll be in a government job, or I'll be an entrepreneur. I don't know that at the start. I guess as a high school student, but then economics would touch all of the industries, and then I would have the luxury of time to choose. That's what I had in mind, and I was not wrong. There was a point I almost chose marketing, um, and then fast forward to where I am now. I went through IEP. I went through corporate jobs, different positions, and now I'm still. I ended up doing a little bit of marketing also, and that's because I guess of the training that we had. Next would be a consideration for me was what's the how lucrative that course would be for me after I graduate. So I guess the two gentlemen with me are far ahead in terms of the monetary aspect of their positions, and it's a very lucrative course as well for us. That will lead you to a fast track career when you go to corporate. As an entrepreneur, I guess since I'm also starting our own business, it also comes with it. And to Ed's point, the rigor. Daanan mo na ngayon yung hirap, but then because I guess it's worth it. It greatly expands your bandwidth and enables you to take in challenges easier. Yeah.
Thank you very much for that.
Recently,
Our alumni.
maybe I'll just add a little bit.
Yes, please do, Dr. Q.
Well, it's a lot further back for me to remember what it was like being a high school student and then thinking of what to do. No? Well, I think that a lot has to do also with what your interests are. You know, college is not going to be easy. You know, some courses perhaps going to be harder, as Edmund and the other my two former students are saying. But it'll be a lot harder if you don't enjoy what you're studying. So try to look over, the different fields of human study and endeavor, and see what interests you most. Now at UA&P, I think you'll have a liberal education, and in your first year, actually, you'll have a very broad, that liberal arts is not only in the first year, but certainly when you come into the university, especially if you join the junior college also, no. And I think you'll get a chance to sample, the different areas of knowledge, of human knowledge, the different fields of inquiry, humanities, the philosophy, all of this then starts to, I think, hopefully, you start to get a feel of what you, and of course you have some basic principles of economics courses. So you get a taste of what the world is like. And then if you have to shift majors, it can be done. So don't be too rattled that, I have to be definitely sure of what I want to study when I get into college. Admittedly, of course, if you shift in college, that sometimes will push you back a bit, because then you miss out on some prerequisite courses in the major that you want to shift into. But now that I'm older, I look back, and as long as your parents can afford it, why rush to get out of college? It's fun. It can be fun despite the rigor. So yeah, so don't be that anxious. I'm in the right course, or am I in the wrong course? And then the other thing also is actually most of, I think, I look back, I think that a lot of people end up in work, and I think many of our graduates said that, that they didn't really thought that they would be doing this type of a work. So you're not boxed in also by your degree, and I think that's something that the liberal education here at UNP will help contribute to. You learn also how to learn it. So a lot of what makes you successful later in your career is not what your degree is, which could be narrow, but your ability to learn new things and grow into because you'll probably change jobs. Many people will likely change jobs later on when they move into their professional career. So the important thing is learn how to learn. And I think we do a good job here of doing that here at UA&P. Sige.
If I can add another point on the fun factor, I'd relate fun to achievement. I could remember or really recall those instances where I'd spend an overnight in my classmate's house. 2 a.m. we were debating amongst ourselves how to go about our paper. we were like half done. 5 a.m. we got our act together and we're done. It was fun because, well, it was difficult, but fun because after that process, you have that sense of achievement. Okay, you get a taste of what it's like having that struggle and achieving what you want to do, what you need to do, and it's really a good feeling. It's like, I know Ed mentioned he's a triathlete. He finishes 70.3 last year. The training is hard, but once you're in the race itself, it's so fun. It's so enjoyable. Running a 42-kilometer marathon, the first 41 kilometers will be insanely difficult. The last kilometer is like a euphoric feeling. You're tearing up because you're almost done. You know you can do it. You're going to finish it. That's a fun factor for me.
Yeah, if I may also add to what Marvin has mentioned, it's about, I also remember the time where Dr. Vic Abola, my former boss, also asked us to write the econ policy paper. It is when you have a distorted perception of time, you are doing something that's meaningful and also fun for you, right? So pag gumagawa ka ng something that you don't really parang time passes faster than usual. Then you're in the right spot. And I think in most of the projects in Econ, as Marvin has mentioned, we've studied, did group study, and we end up going home at 2 a.m. Ganun. So that was really fun. Also fun for me. So you have to like that also.
I like to add na rin since usapang fun. So I guess I had a lot of fun when I was there as well. Aside from the academic fun, there's also a lot of non-academic fun in IEP. So I'm fortunate enough to be an officer in the Business Economics Association. So before I left, I was the president, and that was actually what we wanted to do. What we realized is that though a lot of people are shy, you just need to give them an avenue. And what I experienced personally, and I'm not sure it's also the same with the two gentlemen. But what I felt was that IEP as a group of students together with the faculty is like a family. So very tightly knit. And then you'll see one you'll know one when you see one. Parang ganon. Na okay, yeah, you have that certain aura that you go out with. And whenever we have our alumni gathering, you kind of sense that you belong. And I guess because you have that bonding as you go through those challenges together, and then you also have that same level of fulfillment that only you guys would understand. Yes.
Thank you so much for all of your answers. So it's so very comprehensive. It's very rich, all of it. Thank you very much. So now we'll be moving on to our final question. Unfortunately, due to our time constraints, it's our final one. The question is about our relative small competition. Do you see it as an advantage in one's college learning journey as compared to other universities who house a lot of other students and encounters a lot more of diversity in the terms of people you meet?
Sige, I'll go first. So the university being small and all, I think there's an advantage to it. And I think for me, I realized the advantage very early. Because for one, I think the PhD to student ratio in the IEP is quite low. So you get to get to pick the minds of, the best minds in this country in terms of economics. And if you're lucky, you get to see also the human side of them. That they're also people. They have thoughts. They have also aspirations, and you get to share that journey with them. So that is a very tight advantage for me. That when I talk to other students, when I was given this opportunity before when they studied in bigger universities, they didn't have that relationships with they did not have that connection with their faculty. I mean, they only know them through tests and whatnot, but in terms of personal encounters with the faculty, meaning if you have problems in economics, it's much easier to talk to your professors who are high caliber than in other universities. But of course, the flip side is that malit lang yung batch namin. In our batch, we're only like 9 or 10 when we graduated in the IEP. So I don't really see them that much. So far, wala pa naman yatang tubes, but so far they're still healthy and alive. So I think they're friends in Facebook, but I don't really, we're a very small group. And then if you see also, I don't know with the two gentlemen that's with us right now, but you don't see other, at least in my case, I didn't get a chance to meet other IEP students in my field of work, which is kind of lonesome. You'd appreciate sana kung meron kayong basketball tournament or whatnot. Probably a run with your batchmates. So, but to me, the benefits outweigh the cost. It's really having a chance to learn economics with these guys. It's really something that you should consider very special.
Yeah. So definitely a difficult question. There's no reference though. I've been to grade school, I went to LaSalle High School Ateneo. Those are big schools, 40 in a class and 10 sections. And then going to UA&P, where you know everyone in your batch. So that was enough. I, I don't think size is a factor for enriching the experience. I'd actually say that, as Ed pointed out, the interactions with the professors will be more, will be richer for sure. Even for the students, the fact that you know everyone in your batch. I don't know how many people are in the batch right now, but for our IEP class, I could remember we were 20 when we started, a lot less when we ended. But definitely with less people, the interactions are much better, richer, and that's really what makes you better when you bounce off ideas, when you share ideas. Someone shares a different view, and then you exchange thoughts, try to arrive at a conclusion or agree to disagree. These are the things that that really mold you, that really shapes your thinking. And that's achieved when you have close knit ties with a community, diba? Hardy was talking about the community aspect of being in an IEP program. That's important to reinforce the learnings, and again, what you want to achieve in life. So yeah, I'd say that it being in a small, tight knit, community feeling program really helps. Really helps a lot.
Okay. So to share my experience as well, when I was a graduating high school, I guess modesty aside, I got scholarships from the other schools, from Maroon, from Blue, from Green, and also from the Dragons. But I chose to be in UA&P and take my college degree there, and went all the way to masters. My main reason for doing that, sorry, my thinking process before was I want to be part of a big school, a big and popular school, because of the reputation, because of what they can do for you after you graduate, and because you want to have that sense of feeling of being part of something big. But then when I finally decided to choose UNP, one of the biggest factors for me was actually its size. It's more to what Ed and Marvin said. It's that sense of community. If the ratio of teacher to student is really well maintained, it enables that better quality of interaction and learning that goes beyond the books. Another would be that sense of community. I mean, I don't want to be part of something big, but I'll be a small part of it, and I'll just be a tiny speck there. I want to deliver impact, and I guess that's something that UNB can give. From the time you start with liberal arts all the way to your specialization and even your master's degree. I guess that's something you can't replicate. I can't speak for the other schools though. I haven't been there, but from experience that I had, my learning went beyond the books, went beyond the classroom, and my personal interaction with the teachers, the professors, go beyond school, goes beyond graduation. And I guess that's something you can't easily replicate if it's in a big setting. So I guess it's a treasure that we can value in UNP and much more in IEP.
Thank you very much. Do we have other speakers who would like to contribute to the conversation?
Well, from a teacher's perspective, actually, it's nice for us to be able to be close to these guys. It keeps us young. That's all I'm going to say. That's, on the professor side, my advantage then. You guys keep us young.
Okay, with that, thank you very much for this rich discussion, our dear speakers. I think the readiness with which you guys imparted your knowledge with us and the actual answers you provided just shows how our industrial economics training shows off all of its imparted knowledge with all of you. Personally speaking, I am a student myself, a current student, and I think the best way to describe our experience with a relatively small population or a relatively small school is that you feel like you're not just a number in a sea of people. You're not an anonymous student, a walking number 24601. Your education feels more personalized, actually. Like what they said, you get to know your professors, you form friendships with your classmates. They're not just another person inside the classroom. And overall, I think forming deeper bonds helps you find the fun in college, not just the shallow relationships that you find in plain acquaintances or just knowing the face of other people. That said, though, your decision lies within you and you know what's best for you. Now, moving on, at this point, I would like to call on Dr. Manzano to give our closing remarks.
Thank you, Ms. Varias. This is the closing remarks. So first of all, again, good morning to everyone, prospective students, parents, dear alumni, my colleagues in the university. As we know, we are in very interesting times. The new normal. Many scientists would like to be in this era where everything is novel, everything is new, unstudied, uncharted. So it's one way of looking at it is it's a treasure of new knowledge. And of course, it's the more they change, they say, the more they remain the same. And the issue that confronts you, dear students, would be what ultimate career direction do I want to go in? Now, in this age of disruption, as Marvin emphasized, you would like to have flexibility. The future is uncertain. The industries are restructuring. The consumer markets are soft. The real estate is in limbo. The tourism industry is in tatters. How to make story, how to make sense out of it. No? So, and what are the skills needed in order to thrive in that kind of uncertain environment? So economics definitely will give you flexibility. It has a combination of depth and at the same time breadth. No? So a healthy mixture of interest and knowledge, at the same time specialization. At the same time, we would like to provide economics with broad enough understanding on how things work, how the nation works, how industries work, and as well as the necessary tools if one wants to go deeper, and that is through research. Economics is a research-intensive career or profession. No? So you always have that bias to learn more. If you don't understand things, you can help yourself by doing research. And this is what Jardy emphasized in his talk, that ability to connect things. No? There may be 2-3 issues apparently not connected, but it is your training economics that allows you to see the threads. And so you can form a narrative, you can form a story, you can understand the situation a bit better, and therefore be able to be in a better position to make decisions for you, for your personal career, for your family, and for the company. And last of all, again, something which is commented on by various alumni, it's the whole idea about a demanding training scheme, in economics. So it's the rigor comes in from time to time, that it means that one really has to put a lot of effort, but when you sow effort, you also reap the rewards. And that's the whole idea about college life. It is actually training for the future. And the more you train, the easier or the more confident you are of the future because of the training. And so that, in effect, is what we would like to impart on our students, to be demanding, because we would like them to be the best what they can be. And you usually the best comes out when when people, all of us are being challenged. And so the program is meant also to draw out the best, no, out of every students. So I hope the presentations of Dr. Yu, our program director, and the insights shared by our alumni, Edmund, Jardy, and Marvin, have shed a bit more light into your decisions, what career direction you want to pursue. And big thanks to you for coming, and big thanks to our alumni for sharing their experience. And that's from the heart. No, it's not something contrived, but from the heart, definitely. And so I hope you make your decisions and you will consider a career in economics. And you're welcome to join us in SEC. Thank you very much. A pleasant good morning to all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Manzano. Your timely discussion tied in everything previously brought up and weaved for us the narrative of today's discussion. Okay, with all of these said, thank you to all of our speakers for sharing your knowledge and experiences under the School of Economics. If you have any more concerns, or if our audience would like to simply know more about the School of Economics, you may check out the Business Economics Association, or BEA, the official academic organization for students under the School of Economics. Additionally, you may also continue this conversation and message us on the official Facebook page of UA&P, on the Facebook page of UA&P JMC, or chat with us at www.uap.asia. Before we end, though, just a few more reminders for our students, or our future students, rather. Online application is currently ongoing for everyone. So for scholar applicants, the application period ends on October 21. That's a Wednesday, by the way. And it will be followed by an exam on November 7, 2020, Saturday. For non-scholar applicants, submission of requirements will be from November 9 until November 25. The online exam date will be December 5, and mark your calendars for that. Now, all admissions processes and entrance exams will be administered online for the school year 2021 to 2022 to ensure your safety and well-being. I think with the current situation, I think we can all agree that it's better to be safe than sorry. And with this, we officially conclude this episode of Unitas Online. Thank you very much to all of our speakers today, and to our guests, of course, who have decided to attend. This is your host, Rizal Varias, signing off. We look forward to seeing you again in the future episodes of Unitas Online. Stay safe, and don't forget to practice social distancing, and to sanitize and to wear a mask. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.